Hello! I wanted to do a quick video to show how I set up my new Filofax Swift in Sage. Now, I didn't really have a use for this when I first got it because I just thought it was so cute, and I still love my Maldens for my everyday planner. But I quickly decided that this would become an inspiration/creativity journal in Filofax. So let's open it up. I'm not really using the pockets for very much, except for I have a few journaling cards there, and then a stack of journaling cards in here. You'll see how I use those in just a minute, but that's all that I have stored in the pockets. The dividers I did make myself. I used a journaling card for this one. I've got this little fly leaf that came with it, or came with one of them here. But the dividers, I didn't want to go out and buy any new scrapbook paper, so I used what was left from the ones that I made for my A5 Ochre Malden, and then also the paper that I used to make the dividers in my pocket Aqua Filofax. I ended up selling the pocket Filofax because that size just really isn't as useful for me as I'd hoped it would be. And I sold the dividers with it, so I was missing those colors, and they went well with this sage color. So my first section is my goal section. A lot of this it's fully set up, but there's not as much stuff. It's going to be an evolving Filofax, so there's not as much stuff in it right now as there will be over time. But I knew that it would never. I didn't want to wait to show it just because it's going to continue to evolve over time. So I have my 2015 goals. I keep my goals vague because for each month then I focus on how I'm going to live out that goal. So I have spend an hour each day in journaling and prayer, limit screen time, that's for everyone in the family, for me and my two boys, keep a monthly budget, grow relationships and support system, eat whole foods and exercise, and then read a book a week. That's one of the goals that I had for the past year, and I've been able to actually keep with it, so I wanted to keep it again, and it was appropriate, especially for this Filofax. So after that, I have blank yellow paper, and I use that for each month. I will keep track of my progress. I'll keep track of in what way in January am I living out these goals, and is that working for me or not, and then I can reevaluate for the next month. So this section will just be a record of my progress and just how I interact with my goals for the new year. Obviously, it hasn't started yet because it's still 2014. My next section, this is more of the inspiration side. I love poetry, and I've kind of gotten out of reading a lot of poetry lately. And there's one poem that got stuck in my head a couple of weeks ago, and I decided that I wanted to put it in my Filofax, but there wasn't really a place in my personal size Filofax, in my main personal Filofax. And so I decided to create a poetry section in here. Again, it's going to be evolving, so I don't have as many as I will eventually. But it's When I Have Fears That I May Cease to Be by John Keats. That was the one that started it all, that got it stuck in my head. So I have that poem from Keats. I have some Dickinson and just random other poems that I enjoy printed out on personal size paper, and that will continue to evolve as I have time to add to it. My next section, I took out what was in here already just because it's personal, but I will show you just how it's set up. It's just set up with blank paper. I have a journaling card that was in my pocket Filofax that I'm using as a bookmark, so I took out what was in front. And this is for my response, for my own creative writing. I've had some ideas for just writing. I want to do short stories, even a novel that I've been working on, not with any seriousness and not with plans to ever show it to anyone, but just for my own enjoyment. I love to write. So this is my section where I work on that. I do most of it. I had been doing most of it on the computer, and I just missed getting pinned down to paper. So that's this section. It's just blank paper in different colors just because it's cheery. So my next section is my reading log. This had been in my list section in my Malden, in my everyday planner, but I moved it over here just because it fits in better. I'm going to, in the new year, this is my 2014 list clipped together of books that I've read, and in the new year I want to have a new system for it. I'm not sure whether I'm going to do the A to Z tabs and file each book and do a sheet for each book, or just continue to list them how I did. Still deciding that, but currently it just has my 2014 list. My next section is again my inspiration. I have it for quotes and scripture that mean a lot to me, and this one is another section that will really continue to evolve. So I've just found some printables for some of the scriptures. Philippians 4:6-7 is one of my favorite passages. For those that don't know, I'm a United Methodist minister, so scripture is obviously very important to me. This was just a journaling card with a quote that already was on it. That is true. And then I just added stickers to journaling cards that I just wrote down, just to try and keep it all very positive, all colorful, all to bring me to a good place. And some of these I think that I may go back and do more printable, some of the quotes, do something on the computer to make it look better, just because I don't always like just looking at my handwriting. I like some of the cool fonts that you can use, but currently this is what I have. This is Ecclesiastes 4:9-12. I asked the pastor to read at our wedding, so that's also a very important verse to me. This quote I first heard in 5th grade. I was in the advanced reading group every year, and they called it Think Tank, and we did a section on the future and quotes about the future, and this was one that she'd shared, and I never was able to find it again. I'd written it down, but I never knew who said it or anything like that, and so when I wanted to put it in my journal, in this Filofax, I looked it up online, and I found it in the preface of a book from the National Future Society. So I'm not sure if that's originally where it came from. It was just in a paragraph talking about the future, but it was verbatim the quote that I'd remembered from when I was younger. So that was interesting, and that was where that one came from. This is a very important reminder for me with two little ones. This one didn't come out as well, but I just liked the way that I liked the pattern with it, but it's the same passage that I had at the beginning of Philippians 4:6-7. And here are a couple of quotes from the founder of my high school, and it was also where I went to preschool. The school motto was "Behave yourself and try." It was kind of a hippie school. I loved it. And then "Play the game of learning, not the game of school." So that's the reason I have all the journaling cards at the front, because I will continue to add to it, and then I can just punch them and stick them in. This last section again is personal, and so I took out what was already in here, but it's where I'm writing kind of little assignments that I give myself. So positive names about myself, gratitude, journaling sort of stuff, anything that just helps me to focus on the positive and moving forward, and just what I've been inspired from the rest of the things I've put in here. So that's just blank white notebook paper. That's what I'm using it. And I just stuck a family picture. My 4-year-old was making a face and screaming Velociraptor, so that's the reason his eyes are all squinted in there, but I just have a picture in a top-loading envelope. And I haven't put another one in the back. And then this is just the jot pad that came with it, so that'll be good since it's already punched, especially for my last section. And then the pen that I have is just from the Target dollar spot. It was a 2-pack of this pen, and it writes really well and smoothly and fits perfectly in the pen loop. So that's how I have it set up for now. As I said, it will continue to evolve as I add to it over time. So I may check back in and show exactly how it's being used, especially once I start doing the goal section for 2015. But all of it makes me happy. The planner, the outside makes me happy, and that was kind of my jumping off point for making sure that the insides reflected that. Because sometimes, I love my Malden, and I love how colorful my pages are and everything, but some of my to-dos don't always make me smile, because I don't always like washing diapers every other day, or any of the other myriad things that you have to do as a mom of 2 kids. And so this is the outside makes me happy, the insides make me happy. It's purely a positive Filofax for me. So I hope that this was helpful, and thank you for watching. Bye.